This is the Old School Gun School, and we're back with another important interview. This time it's with Mr. Nick Franssen. And so Nick has been on our stage before and helped in our classes many times. Possibly you've already had the opportunity to be with Nick, but if you haven't, here's your chance. He's coming back this July. So it's pretty soon, not too far away. We're going to be looking at advanced urban defensive handgun, range tactics, and strategies. More about shooting the gun. So this will take place on a private live fire range. What would you do when? What a good question. So we all agree that none of us are immune from an ambush? True enough. And so if today was the day when the boogeyman jumps out of the bushes and says, "Hi, I'm here to do nasty things," what's your plan? You will not rise to the occasion and do stuff you don't know how to do just because it's your emergency. You will only do what you practiced and trained. So this is a day about that. It's a day about practicing and training. You'll come away from this day knowing a lot more about how to handle a firearm, a defensive handgun. You'll know a lot more about holsters, know a lot more about drawing the gun from the holster and from concealment, multiple assailants, good guys and bad guys. It'll be a lot to do. And so by all means, join us if you can. And so there's a few openings left as our date grows closer. And so give me a call. It's 360-378-1776. Here's a look at Nick and what you could expect. Hello, I'm J.B. Heron from the Old School Gun School, and we have a live action range class coming up. And so live fire on the live fire range. It's urban self-defense and a defensive handgun and range tactics and strategies. So we're all anxious to own the gun. We spend a lot of time and energy maybe getting the gun. Now, how to use it optimally in that. And so using the firearm properly, a big thing. You'd think it'd be intuitive, seems simple enough until we get started. And so we'll have a whole day put aside for that, and that will be urban self-defense. And so with me on that day, I'm bringing Nick Franssen in. Nick and I have trained together over the years. He'll tell you a little bit about himself, and we're looking forward to having him on our range. If you've trained with me, you're going to like it. It'd be an easy step to train with Nick because we have a lot of similarities, yet he has a lot of talents that I really rely on him for. So Nick, thanks for coming, buddy. It's been a while, and I'm looking forward to having you on our range again. And so it'll be a whole day of urban self-defense. What can you tell us?
Absolutely. Thank you very much, JB. Yeah, so my name's Nick Franssen. I have a relatively unique background. I am a current police officer. I've been a law enforcement officer and a law enforcement firearms instructor for almost 20 years now. I also own a gunsmithing business and have shot competition and do a number of that. Most people say I'm a shooter, hunter, collector, and hoarder, but I believe in training and understanding how to use my firearms in all conditions, and I like to be able to relay that knowledge and information onto students.
Wow. And so some of the things we're going to do when we get together is probably work on the safety with a gun and maybe how to carry it. How would we carry it? Where would we put it? How would we get it around?
Yeah, absolutely. It doesn't really matter where you're at in your journey, learning how to the way of the gun, if you will. Everything starts and ends with the basics. If you look at the shooters on TV who are doing these super fast 3-gun competitions, when they approach a stage and they're practicing, they start out super, super slow and they walk. It's the crawl, walk, run. You look at the top tier military operators in the world, they're really, really, really good at the basics. And that's what it starts from. Basic marksmanship shooting, safe handling of firearms. In this context, safe handling is a little bit different because we're talking about a dynamic range. And I'm not saying we're going to be running and gunning, but we are going to be moving and we're going to be in a group. There is a different dynamic between going out to a range and you're the only person out there and shooting holes in paper versus being on a range where you're carrying a loaded firearm and you're walking around and you're moving and you're changing positions.
Oh, yes.
So, typically those are small group classes and safety is paramount.
And so it's not just having the gun, but if we have the gun, how do we carry it around? So we could talk
Sure.
about choices for that. How do we carry it around? How does it get presented? Wherever you've got it, will you keep it covered? Yeah, it's concealed carry. And so then from concealment, how do you produce the gun from concealment? And so interesting
Yeah,
topic.
we cover obviously marksmanship basics. We like to know that we can shoot the gun before we can say draw the gun or present the gun, and then we go to the draw. I break it into a certain number of steps and in a way how. The reason I do that is as many things in this world as we don't like being mechanical. When you're talking about building muscle memory, if you break it into steps and it's done mechanically or methodically mechanically to start, you're creating those neural pathways and that muscle memory so it's seamless and safe under stress, which is ultimately the goal here.
Boy. And so in real life, and this is moving us more towards a real life situation, we're not just at a range punching holes in circles and winning scores, but actually using the firearm as we might use it to protect ourselves inside or outside the home. And so in doing such, could we ever run into troubles? Could there be a firearm malfunction? And how would we handle that malfunction? Will you be able to cover some of those things for us?
Yeah, we'll definitely get into some of that. I mean, keeping the gun running during a gunfight is key, right? There's
Yes.
not many things that are more important other than getting out of the situation. So in this class, we're going to focus on what I call continuity of fire, which is your ability to keep the gun in the fight, but also to move, to shoot effectively while moving, to shoot from and around cover or concealment. Anything that's going to give the shooter who's in a self-defense situation the advantage.
Wow. Sounds like good information and a good foundation for all of us. And that foundation, as you mentioned, is the important part. And so, what we're looking forward with having you back again is helping us polish that foundation. The stronger our foundation is, then the rest of that will go even easier. So, we're looking forward to it. Anything else you can add to what we were going to be doing on the range?
What this class is going to do is uh, present scenarios and shooting in real world application.
Wow.
We're going to be starting with the basics, but moving relatively quickly from those. This is not a new shooter course. And
No.
then we're going to get into uh, what I call the survivability triangle, which is um, lethality or your ability to hit targets and effectively, your mobility, which is your ability to move around and avoid danger, and then the survivability component or continuity of fire, which is your ability to kind of combine all of those skills.
Wow.
So we're going to shoot in some what I would call unconventional shooting positions. They're simple. I mean, you don't have to be an athlete necessarily to do this, but what are the chances of somebody presenting a weapon while you're stuck in bumper to bumper traffic and demanding your car with your kids or grandkids in the back seat?
Yes.
Or you're at the diner seated. Typically, all fights end up on the ground. Gunfights are no different. You
Hmm.
need to know how you can shoot from that position. And the way that we teach it is different. It really incorporates all the fundamentals that most people already have, but we're also going to show the nuances in those different positions so people are prepared. Um, we're not going to be running on the range. Nothing that we're doing here is going to be fast. Again, we're focusing on the basics and fundamentals and doing them really, really well so people are prepared. If you've walked through something 1,000 times, if you have to run through it, you're probably going to be okay. If you are faced with that situation that you've never experienced before and you have to do it quickly and under pressure, potentially hurt, the chances of hitting all those points and steps pretty rare.
Well, there's a lot to it, isn't there? There's not
There
just the
is.
gun and in caring for ourselves, maybe a little bit of that. And you talked about caring for ourselves or our loved ones. Should we get hurt? I mean, if we're in a gunfight, what's the chances? Could we get hurt? Sure, we could get
Yeah.
hurt. And
Yeah.
so if we're hurt, maybe our own ability to stop the leak, maybe that's a good idea. And so to do that, what would be the easiest way for someone to learn how to care for themselves from an unexpected gunshot wound?
Well, of course, on what the military calls TCCC, or most citizen classes are geared towards trauma response. But the basics of trauma response are you deal with what you can quickly, and then you prolong life until a higher level of care can get there. In all of my classes, I am a huge proponent of tourniquets. And
Ah,
I've actually had two students now, not during gunfights, but two students save a life because they carried a tourniquet with them. So,
well,
and that's out of my citizen classes. On my law enforcement side, we're almost at 100 saves now.
100 saves.
Yeah,
An important segment. Well, that's a lot to pack into one day, but we're going to give it a good shot. Thank you for making time in your schedule to join us. We're looking forward to it. And we'll look
absolutely.
forward
I
to
can't
seeing
wait.
you not far away. We're just talking about a few weeks and we'll
Yeah,
be together. So, Nick, thanks for taking the time. Thanks for coming back. And boy, are we looking forward to this day.
you bet, JB. Thank you for the opportunity.
You bet.
Bye bye.